Hello, my name is Miroslav Koldus and I am a product manager at GoodData, and today I would like to introduce to you a new functionality that we are introducing to GoodData Cloud, Fiscal Calendars. So let's start right with the demo. I am in the workspace settings of one of my demo workspaces, and in this localization section you will notice that there is a new option called Calendars. So let's open the dialog. And by default, every workspace will be provisioned with the standard calendar, which is the Gregorian calendar that we have been using up until now as a default. But there is a new option to add additional calendar, a fiscal one. So let's look into the options. The fiscal calendar is defined through the offset when the fiscal calendar starts. So in my example, I will start with April, and then you will just define whether it is offset towards the left or towards the right. So if the April is the beginning of the year or the end, so I want it to be a start of the year. So the year 2025 will be start in April 2025. Fiscal year 2026 will start in April 2026, and it will run until the end of March of the next year. You also have an option to create some abbreviations or rather prefixes that we are using then to present the data. This is especially useful if you are going to use both calendars, fiscal and standard calendar at the same time. I will talk about it in a second, but you can actually define the preset, or you can just delete it and it will not use any prefix at all. But I will actually use that in my example, and I will use month because that's just something that I prefer. But you can adjust this terminology to whatever your organization standard is. So let me save it. And now we will be redirected back to the choices of my calendars, and you will notice that the standard calendar options have expanded. Now I have an option to disable it. What that means is that once I create a fiscal calendars, I can make a choice whether I want to support both or only one. So I can support a standard, I can support a fiscal, or I can support both. In my case, I will keep both of them ready, and now I will apply the changes. It will tell me that I will need to go to the modeler to make sure that the date granularities of my model are configured. Before I do that, I want to highlight one more thing. We did this change in the workspace setting for a particular workspace, but the option to set up a fiscal calendar can also be done on the organization level. So if we go switch to the organization settings and find our way through to the localization, we will see the same dialog, and the standard workspace hierarchy logic applies as with any other setting. So anything defined on the workspace level overrides the organizational setting. But if your tenants or your workspaces work in different regions, for example, where one set of your workspaces needs to be defined against the European calendar, where the fiscal years, I believe, end with February, and different set of workspaces needs to be in American calendar, where it may be shifted by additional month, you can definitely configure that on the workspace level as well. If all of your workspaces are require the same fiscal year, you can do that on the organizational level. And obviously you can also choose to apply the fiscal calendars only certain workspaces, while others only use the standard, depending on what your use case is. So enough said on the setting level. Let's actually go into the more exciting part of the demonstration, which is the actual application of the fiscal calendar. When we were changing the setting, it did tell us that we need to go back to the modeler and make sure that the granularities are properly configured. So once you enable the setting, and it actually helps if I'm in the edit mode. So if I go to the setting, you will notice that there are new granularities added for me. So I will just make sure that these are selected so that I can use them in my metrics, in my filters, in my dashboards, in my views and visualizations for slicing, anything that you are used to in the analytical space of GoodData. So now my model is saved. I will go now to my to my dashboard that I have prepared. It's relatively simple data set that I have just generated for this for the purposes of this demo. I have a little bit of a time series of invoices that are coming all the way to the June, so it's a little bit more forward looking, but it will help us to demonstrate the fiscal calendar. And then I'm just showing a little bit of summary across the invoices for each month. So let's actually start looking into some filtering capabilities. So we will filter by the standard calendar to this year, just to provide some context. So this is what you would see today if you would filter by this year, because we are using the standard Gregorian calendar. So because now we have a January, so we see the data for 2026, and as I mentioned this year, so we are seeing also the data that we have in the dataset towards the future. If we would set this year to date, it would only be applied to January, to the data that we have up until now. In the filter drop down or filter dialog, you will notice that there's a new tab that's called Fiscal, and the granularities that are relevant to the fiscal year, which means period, quarter, and a year. You can see them. The labels kind of shifted here a little bit. So in the standard, we are talking about standard year, in the fiscal year, but much of the presets that we are configuring the dashboard with are the same. Also, you have access to the week, day, hour, minute as well, depending on how you obviously define your model and your presets in the APIs. So let's just choose the fiscal year to see the difference. And now, because it's January 2026, yes, we should see the fiscal year 2025, because we are still in the fiscal year 2025, despite we are in the calendar year of 2026. This is where we are, January 2026. We can make sure that this fiscal year to date will work as intended as well. And sure enough, it starts with April 2025, because our fiscal year starts in April and goes all the way to January, because now we are in the January 2026. So that is filtering. Let me show you one more example. We will go here into our Analytical Designer, and one thing that I wanted to show you is that okay, I need to actually filter by, let's do this. Oh, I should refresh this to make sure that yep, that's okay, and that this is all correctly happening. So let's apply date filter, and now we should be able to apply by this year, so just like on the dashboard. So this is all good. Now we can also do fiscal this year. Let's do that as well. All right, and now what we can actually do as well, we can do the same previous comparison to the previous period, and now we will see not only actually, let me do something slightly different. Let me actually do this on the quarter basis. That I think that will be a little bit easier. All right, so now we have the comparison of the periods. Let's just do previous period. I think that's gonna be even more accurate. All right, so now we have this period, which is this fiscal quarter, and we are comparing to previous period to the previous period, which is the previous fiscal quarter. All right, I think that's enough that I wanted to show, to demonstrate how the new fiscal calendars will work. I hope you will give them a try and give us a feedback on our Slack and on our social media. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us over Slack or through our community. So thank you very much, and have a nice day.